Yeah, very good afternoon to one and all. And today concept is about knowing about some frequently used terms when we are implementing an lexical analysis. Those terms are nothing but an token, pattern, and lexeme. And just knowing about what the definition of the token is, what the definition of the pattern is, and what the definition of the lexeme is. And by seeing with an example, we can clearly understand how we are implementing or how we're defining the tokens and how we're giving the description of the patterns and how we're recognizing the lexemes. And see here we're having the first term that is an lexeme. First term that is an lexeme. And how we're going to define this lexeme? Lexeme, in the name itself, lexeme. How we are going to define the word lexeme? The term lexeme means sequence of characters in the source program that are matched with the pattern of the token. That are matched with the pattern of the token. For example, taking an example like a translation statement, position is equal to initial plus rate into 60. And this is the input source program that we are taking for implementing the lexical analyzer. For implementing the lexical analysis, we are taking the input as position is equal to initial plus rate into 60. And what the lexemes in this source code, and how we are going to recognize the lexemes? Each and every character is an lexeme here. Each and every character is an lexeme here. That's why the definition itself is a sequence of characters, sequence of characters from the source program, sequence of characters in the source program, and that are matched with the pattern of the token, that are matched with the pattern of the tokens. Position is an lexeme, is equal to is an lexeme, initial is an lexeme. That means we are writing an individual lexemes here, not in an linear algebraic format. Position is equal to in and initial and plus rate into 60. All these are all the lexemes that we're taking from the given source program, defining the lexemes from the given source program. And we're not calling it as a character, we're naming it as an lexeme, identifying the lexeme, recognizing what type of a token it is, and by using the patterns, by implementing the rules, giving the meaning of that particular token, and this is the combination of the definition by using all these three terms, and see here, from the lexeme we get an term pattern, and now what is an pattern? Pattern what is an pattern Pattern is nothing but an set of rules set of rules that describes the token. Set of rules that describes the token is nothing but an pattern. It should be matched, it should be mapped with in such a pattern, like that we are calling that. That means pattern is nothing but an rules that we should follow, when we are converting the source program into an tokens, converting the sequence of characters into an sequence of tokens. And pattern is nothing but a set of rules that describes the token. And see here we get another new term like an token. While defining the term pattern, in the definition we are getting a new term like an token. Now what the definition of the token is? Token is nothing but a class. Token is nothing but describing a class or a category of the input string. Describing the class or a category of the input string can be called as an tokens. And for example, what we can call as tokens means identifiers can be called as an tokens, keywords can be called as an tokens, constants can be called as an tokens, and punctuation marks can be called as an tokens. Something and operators, relational operators can be called as an tokens, so on and so on. These are all comes under an tokens. But whatever the token that we are describing with the class, it should be a meaningful class. It should perform the pattern by describing the rule of that particular token. That's it. These are the most three important terminologies which are frequently used when we talk about the activity of the lexical analysis. What are those? Again, I'm repeating the same. One is a lexeme, another one is a token, and the another one is a pattern. Just briefing out what the lexeme is. From taking the input from the source program, we're matching this source to an pattern for a token. Matching the source program to the pattern of the token. What it means is sequence of characters in the source program that are matched with the pattern of the token. Sequence of characters of the source program that are matched with the pattern of the token. And for example, here what the lexemes are, lexemes in the sense int is an lexeme, I is an lexeme, and the number num is an lexeme, or any other character like an choice is an lexeme or double is an lexeme. All these comes under the lexemes. And then what the token is, identifiers or keywords or constants or punctuation marks or any other relational operators. All these are all comes under the tokens. What we are doing in the term token means just describing the class or category of the particular input string, of the given input string. And what the pattern is, by following up all the rules, by following up all the set of rules, that then we are describing the pattern, then we are describing the token. And these are the most important three terminologies that we are using while performing the implementation of lexical analyzers. And when you get the word like an lexeme is nothing but an character. But here, while coming to the terminology in the form of an lexical analyzers, then we are naming it as an lexeme. In the form of an character, we are naming it as an lexeme. Token means any type of an string, any type of a string in the form of an identifier or in the form of an keywords or in the form of any other punctuation marks or any other, those way you can consider it as an token. And pattern means describing the meaning of the token is nothing but an pattern. See, here we're having an example for that, a table representation. The example of the token is, see here, these are the lexemes. Lexemes from the input source, lexemes from the source program. Constant is an lexeme, if is an lexeme, and if the program consisting of all like these operators, these are all the lexemes. Or if my input program consisting of the pi, it can be called as an lexeme. Count is an lexeme. D2. These are some of the examples in the form of an characters, in the form of an relational operators, in the form of some keywords, or in the form of some constants or some numeric constants, all so some in the form of like in literals. All these are all comes under the lexemes. All these are all comes under an lexemes. For example, here we're having an example, a constant pi is equal to 3.1416. The substring pi is a lexeme for the token identifier. Did you get the point? What it means is identifying the lexeme from the source program like an pi, recognizing the class of the pi, recognizing the class of the pi, class in the sense of the category of the pi in the form of a token is identifier. Means it comes under an identifier. It comes under the type of token, it is an identifier token. Did you get the point? In the place of pi, after performing the lexical analyzer, what it is converted into ID. It is converted into ID. And assignment operator is equal to is there here. It is an is equal to operator. Here I am defining the assignment operator in the form of what it means is I am reading is equal to, and I identified this is equal to is an lexeme and writing here is equal to, and defining what type of an token it is. It is an operator. What type of an operator I am briefly describing in the pattern. It is an assignment operator. And taking 3.1416. Here I am 3.1416 is a lexeme here. It comes under constant, numerical constant. So the name of the token for the 3.1416 is a number. And how I am briefly describing that it is an any numeric constant. And this is the way that we need to represent an table. It is the table representation from the given input source program. What it means is identifying the lexemes, recognizing in which category it belongs to in the form of the tokens, and giving the description of the tokens. giving the description of the tokens in the form of an patterns. That means meaningful token. It should be a meaningful token. So we need to follow some rules for describing that token. That's all. That's about the three terms: token, lexeme, and the pattern. I think you all understand by seeing the example. These are the lexemes. For example, a familiar example that we already learned in the last classes. Position is equal to, see, take here, position is equal to, in the place of constant pi is equal to 3.1416. Here you need to take an example like position is equal to initial plus rate into 60. Initial plus rate into 60. Now you are representing a table for this and put a heading lexeme, then token, then pattern. And in the lexemes, first write down position and what type of a token it is, identifier token, and how we're going to describe the identifier token. An entry of character position to identifier. You need to write like that. What it means is you should describe in a meaningful manner. An entry of the character position into identifier. And now reading the next character, that is an is equal to. Now that is in the form of a lexeme. Now what type of a token it is? An operator. And describing the pattern for that operator, assignment operator. It is an assignment operator. Now go for the next. Next is an initial, and write down initial in the lexeme. And what the name of the token for that lexeme is. Again it comes under the identifier. And how we are going to describe the pattern for it. Again, entry for initial into identifier. Entry the character initial to identifier. What it means is entry the character to identifier. Did you all get the point? And if you represent like that, then finally for the line of the input source code, you should complete the table representation by defining each and every character as an lexemes and recognizing the tokens for those and giving the description in the form of the patterns. That's it. This is a small concept in lexical analyzer, knowing some terminologies and describing in a table representation, and how to describe in a table representation, and what the rules that we need to follow, and what we are taking under the lexemes and what we are taking under the tokens, and how we are describing the patterns. That's it. This is a small concept in lexical analyzer. By knowing these three terms, while performing, by knowing these three terms in the sense, by knowing the definitions of three and how these three are acting in the sense how they, by using these three, how we are going to describe the input program. That means a source program. We can easily understand by performing the activity of the lexical analyzer, isn't it? Without knowing this, without knowing what the lexeme is, without knowing what the token is, and without knowing how to describe the patterns for that particular tokens, it is impossible to represent a table like this. If you understand, it is very easy to represent a table from the line of the code, that is a source code. That's about the three terms. And now the most important concept in lexical analyzer, that is an input buffering. Input buffering can also be called as in double buffering. Make a note of this. Input buffering can also be called as an double buffering. And here, after knowing the basic fundamentals of lexical analyzer, we're going in detail about by knowing the concept about input buffering. And when we are defining the lexical analyzer, first point that what we are defining for the lexical analyzer is scanning the input from left to right. Before scanning, what the thing that we need to do is we need to store it into an input buffer. Store the input string or input program in an input buffer. First we have to do that. Then only we need to scan from left to right. And after storing, then only we are going to perform the scanner operator. And the scanner scans the input from left to right, input program from left to right. And the lexical analyzer scans the input from left to right. This is the thing we already know. But where we are going to scan, how we are going to store that input? Is there any representation for storing that input? Yes, we're having the representation for that. See, here we're having the representation. representation for storing the input. This is an input buffer. This is an input buffer. And we are storing the line of the code, line of the source code in this buffer, and individual character should be an individual cell. And total line of the code we are not going to store in a single cell. For each character, it is having an individual cell, stored in an individual cell. So equal size of cells in an input buffer, and every cell consisting of one character. One character. This is the representation of an input buffer. And now scanning the input. After storing my input in this input buffer, then I will start the functionality of my lexical analyzer. The first phase is an scanning the input program. Now I'm scanning my input program from left to right. Left to right means starting from X, starting from the character X and ending at the closed parenthesis. Ending at the closed parenthesis. Scanning from left to right. The meaning of scanning the input program from left to right means starting from X and ending with this. Here, one thing you need to make a note that we are not doing an reverse of the input string. We are not interchanging the input string. What we are doing is by performing the scanning, just we are reading a character from left to right. This is the process of scanning an input string. Make a note of all this. See, X is equal to X plus open parenthesis, Y plus 1 closed parenthesis. That is the line of the code from my source program. I'm not doing that. I'm not implementing that. Closed parenthesis 1 plus Y open parenthesis plus X is equal to X. I'm not performing like that. Scanning the input string means whatever the source I am taking from the input should not be changed after performing the lexical analyzers, after performing the functions of the lexical analyzers. Here the first function what I am performing is I am scanning it. Scanning from left to right. That means reading each and individual character from left to right. That's it. And see here we're having two arrow representations, and the first arrow is an lexeme and the second arrow defines it as an forward. These are the 2 pointers we are using here. Initially the both lexeme and the forward pointer at the character X. Initially both will stay at X. The lexeme is nothing but an beginning pointer, and FWD is nothing but an forward pointer. And both will, when I'm reading an X, because this is the first character in my input program, now I want to read an X. So both the pointers will be at X. And these are the 2 pointers. One is a begin pointer, that is a lexeme begin pointer, and the another one is a forward pointer. By using these 2 pointers, what we are doing is keeping track of the portion of the input scanned. By using these pointers, keeping track of the portion of the input scan. So initially both pointers to point to the first character. Both the pointers, like in begin pointer and the forward pointer, points to the first character of the input string. That means here what the first character is X. These 2 pointers points at the X character. See here we're having an example. The representation shows that the 2 pointers and the input program that is already stored in an input buffer. And now seeing what the forward pointer will do, what the task of the forward pointer is. The forward pointer moves ahead. To search for the end of the lexeme. As soon as the blank space is encountered, by the forward pointer, it indicates that end of the lexeme. See, I am explaining here. Here I'm pointing the both pointers. Here one begin pointer and the another one is a forward pointer. And the begin pointer stays here at the character X. The forward pointer moves forward. The reading the X and it moves forward. And here there is a blank space. By using the forward pointer, when it points to the blank space, automatically if it encounters the blank space, what it means is here we find out the lexeme. Here we identify the lexeme. What the lexeme here is?
X. X is an lexeme, means X is a character. X is an lexeme. So we identified the lexeme X. Now the forward pointer moves to the next character is equal to. And again the begin pointer also moves to the is equal to character, moves to the pointing to the is equal to character. Why? Because here we find out the lexeme and then move the both pointers will move to the next character, and the begin pointer stays here, stays at the is equal to assignment operator, and now the forward pointer moves towards, and again here the blank space is encountered. Then what it means is here we identified an lexeme, identified the lexeme. The blank space, when the forward pointer encounters the blank space, then what it indicates is it is the end of the lexeme, end of the lexeme. Then here what the lexeme we find out, we identified is equal to, where is equal to is an operator, assignment operator, that is an lexeme. Then the both the two pointers now points to the X, points to the X. Are you getting my point? And in such a manner the forward pointer will move ahead, and if it encounters any white spaces, if it encounters a blank spaces, then what the lexeme that we are identifying I explain now. If it encounters the white spaces, if the forward pointer encounters the white spaces, what will happen? If it encounters the white spaces, it ignores and moves ahead, it ignores the white spaces and moves ahead. Because in lexical analyzer, when we encountered the white spaces and the comments, those are ignored. We are not encouraging the white spaces and the comments here, right? When we encounter the white space and the comments, just ignore those and move forward by using the forward pointer. Then the both begin pointer and the forward pointer are set at the next token like X. This is the next token X, right? I think you all got the understand. I think here the input character is read by the secondary storage. This is an single buffer. Now we are learning about a single buffer, one buffer. This is overall input buffering technique is an one buffer technique. Now the input character is read from the secondary storage, but reading in this way from the secondary storage is very costly. So here we are using an buffering techniques to overcome the problem, like an storing in an secondary storage, reading from the secondary storage, it results to an cost. So automatically what we are going to implement is, we are implementing some buffering techniques here. And a block of data is first read into a buffer, means reading the input in an input buffer, and then scanned by the lexical analyzer, and then scanned by the lexical analyzers. So there are two methods used in this context. Those are what those are means, one buffer scheme and two buffer scheme. One buffer scheme and two buffer scheme. Make a note of this. And up to now we learned about an one buffer scheme. Up to now we see the representation of an one buffer scheme. This is an one buffer scheme. And while implementing this type of a technique, what the problem that we faced is only one buffer is used to store the input string. But the problem with this is, if lexeme is very long, lexeme in the sense if the input source code is very long, then it crosses the buffer boundary. To scan the rest of the lexeme, the buffer has to refilled. So that makes overwriting the first part of the lexeme. I think you all understand. Again, I'm repeating this. What the problem that we are getting when we are implementing this one buffer technique means, if lexeme is very long, that means the length of the lexeme is very long, then it crosses the buffer boundary. For example, the length of the lexeme is up to here only, but I'm having the input string to be stored. I'm having the input string to be scanned. The overall input string is not at all completed, since the string is remain. That means the source code is remain. So I need to store. I need to scan that input also. Then by doing this, by having the long lexemes, it crosses the buffer boundary. To scan the lexeme, to scan the rest of the lexeme, the buffer has to be refilled. So what will happen means, in the place of this x is equal to x plus open parenthesis y plus 1, here we're having some code, right? For example, I'm having the line of the code like an a is equal to b plus c into d. I want to scan that a is equal to b plus c into d. Still the rest of the code is a is equal to b plus c into d. Now I want to scan that one, but the buffer, the length of the buffer is completed. There is no place to store. There is no place to store this a is equal to b plus c into d. What the problem is, I am overwriting in the place of the x is equal to x plus open parenthesis y plus 1 closed parenthesis. Then what will happen? If I overwrite the first part of the lexeme, then what will happen? Only the second part will be remains. Only the second part will be remains. If you want to retrieve for the first path, the first path is deleted. The first path is the line of the code, part 1 is deleted. That means by performing an overwriting, here these problems occur. Here this problem occurs in one buffer techniques. So to overcome this technique, what we are doing is we are implementing the second buffer, two buffer techniques. We are implementing the two buffer techniques. How we are going to overcome the problem means, two buffers are used to store. See here in the slide, two buffers are used to store. Once all of you see the slide, here in between we are having a bolded line, a very bolded line we are having. What it means is, this is an input buffer. This input buffer is divided into two halves in an equal size halves. This n buffer 1 should be in n size, and buffer 2 also should be an n size. That means equal length of the buffers. What it means is dividing the buffer into two halves, buffer 1, buffer 2, buffer 1 and buffer 2, and the first buffer and the second buffer are scanned alternately.